Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Friday Review. Excited to join you here this week after an action-packed week full of all sorts of new developments, new videos that have come out, a lot of new research, and of course, on our Friday Review shows, I want to be able to bring you much of that, be able to recap it, provide you with new research that I have each and every Friday. And oftentimes I'm doing product reviews as well. Since we have so much information this week to go over, I won't be doing a specific product review of an item that I'm using or loving specifically, but I absolutely will be going over lots and lots of research, and many things coming over the next week or two. So pretty excited about the show. I hope you've been having a great week. I know many people are locked down right now, still in quarantine. I am as well, meaning not just social distancing, but basically staying inside for the predominance of the day. My family and I, we go outside for 2 walks per day, sometimes 3, and we're just trying to get some sunlight. We're trying to get some fresh air. We're trying to move our bodies. And of course, we're doing at-home workouts as well. If you haven't gotten yet into working out at home, this is an absolute great time to start that. And coming up this coming Thursday, I'll be giving you one of the 10-minute at-home workouts that I've been doing, and I'll share the exact one that I have been doing. So hopefully that's helpful. I've given you many previous at-home workouts. You can find those today right at stephencabral.com/podcast. If you go to that page, you will see a Training Thursday tab. It's a yellow tab, basically a little box. You can just scroll over that, click on it, and check out all the previous Thursday workout shows. So what I'd like to do this week, this Friday review, is start off how I often do, and that's give you a recap of really what's been going on. And then, of course, I'd love to share with you some new research today and things that I believe that will absolutely help you. But so much has gone on over this past 5 days that I would love to be able to recap that in case you did miss any of those items. So on Monday, I gave everyone kind of that first quarter check-in. I hope that you checked out that show on our Mindset and Motivation Monday. That show I also shared with you, and again, I recorded this before 1 month ago, and I typically never record shows. Like, for example, this show is being recorded about 5 days before. That's the max that I ever record a podcast, really, before it comes out. So they're very recent. Now, for that show, though, I had done that before I left my trip for Australia because I thought I was going to be on a trip with my family. I'd be checking in with my work, but I wouldn't be doing a lot of shows. I would do my IHP event there and everything would be great. Well, little did I know, about a week into our trip, we were worried about how we were going to get home. So with all the canceled flights, and again, we got home, it took 4 different flights and different trips to get there, but we made it. And when I did that, I talked about a virus that I got over the winter and in January. And people were saying, was it COVID-19? Was it not? Listen, I don't know if it was or not. I got it in January. If I got it, then I was one of the first people, I guess, to get it. I don't know if that makes me special, unique, or anything like that. My inkling is that it probably wasn't, but it could have been. And again, I told people that. Now, and I've also mentioned in the video, and I do hope that you watch that. If you haven't, all the latest videos are at stephencabral.com/virus. Every week, I'm giving you an update, an unbiased update as to where we are right now with treatment protocols that are being used in hospitals, things that we know that boost the immune system, really giving you the unbiased look at where we're at. Because I'll tell you right now, the media is absolutely not. I mean, this for them is, it's their favorite holiday. This is a time for them to really pretend like they care. But believe me, they are doing this for ratings. They are not the people that you should be trusting with your health or information. And again, you can look at any source you want, but just make sure where are they coming from. And I think what they're doing, again, I've mentioned this before. I don't need to say it, but I'm not an advocate of how they are handling all this. And I do hope that people recognize that and remember it in the future. So what I just wanted to say is that we are participating. So Equilibrium Nutrition, the company I founded, for basically what we did, a lot of people don't know this, I took my Boston private practice and I brought it online in 2016. And so that was us trying to help. We did about 20,000 appointments a year. And, my goal was to say, okay, how can we help more people around the world? And that's, of course, what we did. So with that came all of our protocols and all the labs we were using. Well, one of the labs that we work with, because we don't own any of the labs, is trying to get data for their own COVID-19 at-home lab. So I obviously, when they asked if I could help, I said, of course, I'm happy to participate. So I'll be running one of those labs to see if I have the antibodies for COVID-19. And if I do, then fantastic. Then I will give blood, plasma, for them to be able, for hospitals and everybody that needs it, for them to be able to use to fight off the virus with people who do get it, who are immunocompromised. Remember, there's no way to prevent this particular virus. And had I known about it in January, for sure, I would have been doing a lot more immunity-based protocols, but the truth is I had traveled to 2 countries. I'd been over, I think, 8 different airports. I'd met with or been around at least tens of thousands of people. I was at 4 different seminars in 4 or 5 weeks. So it was pretty insane. It was an insane travel schedule. Body was a little bit more run down. And anyway, I got sick. Getting sick happens. What I always tell people is you will get sick in life. It's okay. You're going to get sick. But a healthy and balanced immune system will win out every time over the bacteria or the virus. And so again, 3 or 4 days later, my body was sick and then it was well again. And that's what I want for all of you, is I don't want you to have the fear that you are somehow going to get COVID-19 and not get well again. 80% of the people only exhibit mild symptoms, some none at all. Again, I don't know or believe that I had it. I really don't. But I'm going to run a lab to say, hey, did I have this? And if so, then good. Good, so that I have some antibodies that I can then make sure that others get and that they can help them, for those people that are immunocompromised at any age or 65 plus, I really, closer to 75 plus, that are the most at risk. And of course I would do that. I'm happy to do that. Well, we shall see. So if those test results come back in, if the lab believes I'm a candidate, then of course I'd be happy to do that. Of course, I dealt with these things now. It'll be like 12 weeks ago, right? 3 months ago. And so we just need to make sure that the antibodies are going to be strong enough from that point forward. And they'll know from an IgM and IgG test. And IgM will be more if you have or just had COVID-19 virus. And if you had it in the past, would be IgG. So anyway, that is what's coming. There's a lot going on, and we are partnering with some labs on this. We just want to make sure that if this ever comes around in the future, or who knows how long this will last, that we'll be able to provide people with COVID-19 labs at essentially break even. Like whatever the lab costs us is what we're going to get it to people at. That's my promise from me to you, and we will make that happen as needed. Okay, that was Monday's show. On Tuesdays, we talked about different symptoms, like physical symptoms of mouth-based issues, lips and mouth. What does it mean? And this was a popular show. The week before that, on episode 1509, was 9 physical signs of vitamin deficiencies. That was a very popular show. Hopefully you tuned into that. If Your Lips Could Talk, that was episode 516. 517, a big show on differences between a cold, a virus, and allergy-based symptoms. Because there are so many people who believe right now that are dealing with allergies that they may have a virus. And so check out that episode. It will tell you all the differences. Then the episode 1518 was on 10 Steps to Reverse Aging by one of our great mentors, Deepak Chopra. And that was from one of his books. That was actually a podcast that got bumped from the week before to bring you an update on COVID-19. So hopefully you've checked those out. And then, of course, today's show is episode 1519, and that brings us up to the present. So if you haven't seen the video, the newest and latest video at StephenCabral.com/virus, I do invite you to check that out. I post them on Instagram, just my account, Stephen Cabral, at our Facebook group, CabralSupportGroup.com. But the shareable page is really that website URL I've referred to, and I will link it up today at episode 1519. So the reason why I mentioned that, and I'll just mention it quickly, is that the 2 most promising pharmaceutical drugs, as well as naturopathic protocols, if someone has COVID-19 and they're really in the hospital, they're not doing well, is hydroxychloroquine, and I don't ever know if I'm pronouncing the quine or quin part of it correctly, but hydroxychloroquine or chloroquine. And this is particularly used for autoimmune-based issues in the United States. It has a precursor drug used before it for malaria. It's also used for lupus in the United States and other autoimmune-based issues. So what they're doing though is they're combining that with azithromycin, so an antibiotic. And this was, it got its notoriety specifically from studies, a small study being done in France. But that's being used right now. It actually got the go-ahead last week to be used at a larger scale if needed. But lo and behold, good old vitamin C used intravenously or actually internally as well at 1,500 milligrams 3 to 4 times a day is also being used. And there are much larger studies being done in China. The results won't be published until September of this year of much larger intravenous doses. Hopefully you did check out my show. Again, intravenous would be used as a sodium ascorbate typically, and the internal use through a supplement would typically be ascorbic acid. We prefer the buffered ascorbic acid, but if you don't have it, that's okay. But you would like to take somewhere around, for daily use right now to boost the immune system, 2,500 milligrams to about 5,000 milligrams a day. If you're sick, you could certainly increase that. I'm typically doing about 2,500 milligrams a day. If I start to get run down or I feel anything, I'll bump that up to 5,000 milligrams. Okay? More to come on, or in the video I had on melatonin, zinc, etc. Again, please do feel free to check that out. I just want to make sure that you know the kind of best of the best. The combination right now, if your loved one is in the hospital, would be the vitamin C and then the pharmaceutical alternatives as well. So on a daily protocol, again, all of that is listed. I can't recommend enough. Daily Foundation Protocol Level 2, as well as the Immunity Protocol. Very simple, very straightforward, easy to use, and it just gives your immune system the best chance at staying healthy. Remember, we don't know a way to prevent this particular virus, but we do know if your immune system is healthy and it is balanced, you may get sick, but the good news is you should recover. And it looks like it's a 99+% recovery rate. And the people, again, most at risk bringing down it from 100% would be those particularly over 75 years old or immune compromised. So again, these are the unbiased statistics. I'm always giving you exactly what is happening in the entire world and the United States. So kind of broken down by both, especially since the United States has the most cases in the world. All right, so that is that on our COVID-19 update. What else do we have going on in the world besides this particular virus? Is that one thing that we've been doing a lot this week and that we are excited about is getting ready for our Integrative Health Practitioner Institute opening coming this April 6th, this Monday. We don't believe that we're going to open again in May, and I'm not sure when the next time will be, but this is potentially, and it's my belief, that if you are inside and you are worried about your health, I can't think of a better combination than trying to figure out how to educate yourself to a greater degree on an integrative approach to health. That means looking at the best of the best from Ayurveda, from traditional Chinese medicine and herbalism, from bioregulatory medicine, functional medicine, traditional naturopathy, and even saying, again, in times of acute-based health issues where your life is threatened, to look towards conventional medicine. And that's what we do. I believe the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute is the most realistic and sensible way to stay healthy and to be able to help those around you. And so it's my belief right now that every home needs a health coach. That's just the way that it is. Whether you're a formal health coach or not, every family needs someone to say, listen, this is actually what's going on based on the research and the people that I trust. Here's why it makes sense. Here's what to do in the easiest manner possible, meaning like just give them the protocol. That is what I believe that we need to do. We teach people what's called the de-stress protocol: diet, exercise, stress reduction, toxin removal, rest and sleep-based protocols, emotional balance, supplement protocols, and success mindset. The de-stress protocol, I wrote about it in the Rain Barrel Effect. I talk about it on the Cabral concept. What we do is we put it into practice inside of the IHP certification. And of course, we teach it as a course as well if you just want the course. So that's what it is. It's to learn more about your health. And you get over 50 of the handouts that I use in my private practice. You get the same exact ones. And if you pass all the quizzes, if you choose to, well, then you can become a certified health coach. And we are now internationally certified. So it's a pretty amazing group, amazing health practitioners from all over the world. You can see those practitioners. You can hire one of those practitioners if you wanted to. You can become one of those practitioners by going to integrativehealthpractitioner.org. You can download the brochure. You can speak with one of our IHP graduates. There's never any pressure. We simply open once a month for 100 new students, and that's the way that we're able to keep our customer support high. I do once a month IHP Q&As, live Q&As on Facebook in our private Facebook group. So it's a lot of fun. And if you're interested, you can check that out at integrativehealthpractitioner.org. And level 2, of course, for those who are interested, you get to learn about all of the different lab tests. So pretty amazing stuff. All right. So that is that on IHP. What we were doing this week too is we had a brand new product debut over at Equilibrium Nutrition, and that was our organic hemp protein. It is one single ingredient, plant-based, vegan, non-GMO, organic, GMP, third-party tested, all of those great things, right? So you can't get a cleaner hemp protein. That's what we set out to do. How do we get the cleanest hemp protein available? 15 grams of protein per serving, 14 servings per container, basically the same size container as the daily nutritional support. Super easy to use for those people who have been asking, how do I add more protein to my daily nutritional support in the morning? How do I add protein to an oatmeal? How do I add protein to a pancake or waffle recipe? How can I add it to a second smoothie? How do I get more protein in a second smoothie in the afternoon? This is an easy, inexpensive way to do so. And so hopefully you enjoyed this product. And like a lot of what we try to do, is my goal is to say, listen, if I was independently wealthy, I would give all of these things away. I really would. Maybe one day that will happen. We'll see. And that's all kidding aside. That's what we're doing. We're literally giving away our product for all purchases this week at Equilibrium Nutrition at $149 or over. So anybody that purchases something like the Daily Foundational Protocol Level 2 that I'm always talking about, that I do myself, my family uses, then you would get a bottle automatically shipped free to you. So check that out. That goes until this Sunday, which will be what? It looks like that will be the 5th, right? So April 5th, that's what day that this offer goes to. Hope you take advantage. Great, great product. Enjoy. So Equilibrium Nutrition, as I've said, we're doing all we can at this point. Our goal is to say, what can we do? How do we give the lowest possible prices? How do we get people the best quality products? How do we stay in stock? I mean, people are running out of zinc, vitamin C, melatonin, vitamin D all over the world. And the reason is that we know that these things really work. I mean, honestly, they really work to boost the immune system. I mean, they're proven to do that. So we're doing our best to stay in stock. We'll continue to. Things might have a 2 or 3 day delay in getting them to you, like zinc did last week. But, now back in stock. We've got thousands and thousands more bottles. But again, we are working on that every single day, just so you know that. Okay, that's that. So we have the Stock Up and Save. We have the immunity protocol. We have what else do we have? The immunity calls. If you want to do a call with our coach, we greatly discounted those. And if you need help with anything, simply send in a comment at cabralsupportgroup.com. That's our Facebook group. And then if you have a customer service question, simply email support@equilibriumnutrition.com. We pride ourselves on going above and beyond and answering questions, as quickly as we can, to be honest. Okay. Last part, but before we get on to some new research, is that, again, if a couple people have asked about my microphone, yes, I am using just a good old Apple wired headset microphone, recording right onto my MacBook laptop. This is what I have right now. Until I get back to my Boston office, which will not be until the end of April, most likely. Hopefully the sound quality is okay. This will be the new sound quality. Again, I think we're all just trying to do our best. And so thank you for everyone who said it's okay. We're okay with it for another few weeks. All right. So a couple research points that I want to give you. I'm going to give you brand new research on its own episode next week on the quality of fresh food versus frozen, okay? A lot of people have been asking me, what if I were to freeze my food? Because I told many people 2 weeks ago that my wife and I, while everybody was buying toilet paper, we went in and bought a lot of the fresh produce. And then what we did was we chopped it up, we prepped it, and we froze it. So we have bags of frozen spinach and purple asparagus, and we've got green cauliflower and Romanesque cauliflower and all sorts of great veggies. And we've been making some healthy rice stir fries out of it, adding hemp hearts to it. We've been doing all sorts of things. We've been adding it to whatever we need, and we've got lots of veggies. So great for the whole family. And that's an easy way to do it. So a lot of people ask, well, what's the difference between the fresh and the frozen? So I'm going to break all that down in terms of fresh, frozen, cooked foods, and just let you know the different nutrient profiles and what some of the benefits are and what some of the drawbacks are so that you can make the best decision for you. That will most likely be out next Tuesday on episode 1523. All right, so that's coming. In terms of research, I wanted to give you two new things this week. So the first is that the actual IUs, so the international units for the fat-soluble vitamins have changed. So what does that mean? Well, vitamins such as vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E are going to be different. And why I want to bring that to your attention is that the back of labels will start to look different to people. So some of them will be in the IU, we'll say IU as in international units, and then they will eventually be updated into micrograms. So again, your fat-soluble vitamins are going to be your vitamin A, your vitamin D, your vitamin E, your vitamin K, and then your water-soluble vitamins are more like your vitamin B and your vitamin C. Well, your vitamin Bs, the entire B family, vitamin C. Okay, so why the B vitamins? They're classified differently right now. So what I'm going to do is if you head over to stephencabral.com/1519, that will be a to Z calculator, it's called, on how to convert your micrograms to international units, IUs. So you're either going to see an MCG or it looks like a little UG, and the U is just from the Greek, I believe it's from the Greek alphabet. I don't speak Greek, so I apologize. But I believe that's where that comes from, and it stands for microgram. So in the new conversion, a lot of people are worried that their vitamin D is supposed to be in milligrams. It's not. It's actually in micrograms. So here's an easy way to remember. For every 10 micrograms, you get 400 IUs. Or for every 1 microgram, you get 40 IUs. So an easy way to look at this is, well, what if you're getting 25 micrograms? So 25 micrograms, the back of a label, will get you about 1,000 IUs. And if you're looking to take 4,000 IUs of vitamin D, how much would you need? Well, you'd say, okay, I know that it's a 1:40 ratio, so I'm going to need 100 micrograms, not milligrams, 100 micrograms to get 4,000 IU. Now, what if you're taking the 5,000 right now to kind of boost your levels a little bit because you know that that's what's indicated? Well, you simply take 125 micrograms, which will now equal 5,000 IUs. Hopefully that makes sense. And then most vitamin E's are about 400 IUs. And so, simply put, you'll want to take about 10 micrograms on the new label. Vitamin A, it's about 5,000 IUs is a typical dosage for a daily dosage, and that's about 125 micrograms. Vitamin K is going to vary, but let's say people wanted 100 or so, 50 to 100. Well, again, pretty easy if we look at that. If we say, okay, what is 10 micrograms? That's the 400. And let's say, okay, what's 2 micrograms? That's about 80, right? So very simple. I'll put the calculator right there. But as long as you can use that 1:40 conversion or that 10 to 400, it's going to make it a whole lot easier for you. I hope that clears up the confusion because there has been obviously quite a bit, but those international units are now being switched over completely to micrograms. And just so you know, 1,000 micrograms equals 1 milligram, and 1,000 milligrams equals 1 gram. So whenever I hear people talk in that other language that we're not as familiar with in the United States, that is all that we're talking about with this metric-based system of counting these micrograms. Okay? All right, so that is that. And now let's go over our last research study, and this was coming out just about 4 months ago, and it was in the Journal of Pain. It's a decent-sized study. There were, 1,300 patients. They were tracking their statistics based on headaches, and they used a specific app. It was used and logged in on more than 12,000 times. Again, you can read all of this. I will link it up in the Journal of Pain, and it was specifically on, does cannabis help with migraines, or I should say help with headaches and migraines? And the resounding answer was yes. So now here's where it gets a bit more interesting, and that's why you really need to look into these studies, because there's a lot of people out there who say, well, I don't want to smoke marijuana or take edibles or anything like that, which is totally fine. And like, I get that and understand it. I'm not a proponent of saying that people should be smoking marijuana or using THC in that way, just as if I don't recommend it with alcohol. I don't. Like, that's not a recommendation of mine. However, using non-psychoactive based products such as CBD may also be helpful. And that's why when I looked into this study further, I was able to see that they were actually looking at the same thing. So I want to quote something directly from the study. So let me just give you a couple things right here. So why was this important? Well, the study goes on to show that the cannabis was actually, there's clinical trials showing that cannabis was better than ibuprofen, which is an Advil type product, in alleviating headaches. So pretty impressive. And then it went on to say there's also no evidence that you can overuse cannabis in terms of for a headache. And then the third part was this: no significant difference in pain reduction among cannabis strains that were higher or lower in THC, which is tetrahydrocannabinol, or cannabidiol or cannabinol, which is CBD. So when you look at cannabinoids are going to be present in cannabis, so let's just say marijuana, and they'll also be present in straight CBD. So that's the thing, is that you could use a full spectrum CBD and not have to have any of the psychoactive based components and still get the benefits of lowering the headache. Again, I can't say that specifically, but the study points in that direction, which is really nice. So if you're someone dealing with headaches, my recommendation is always to look for the underlying root causes: food sensitivities, gut issues, sensitivity with histamines. I mean, there's so many different ways to look at this. Biomechanical deviations in what's called the trigeminal area, right? Like, there's so many issues, but you can figure it out because there's not really more than a dozen issues. And go back, check out my previous podcast on headaches. You can just type in that keyword at stevencabral.com/podcast. But my recommendation is to look into, if you'd like, something that's far less dangerous than pharmaceuticals, such as cannabis or just CBD without the psychoactive component. So hopefully that's helpful. Again, I will link up the study at stevencabral.com/1519. Hopefully today's show was helpful. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. I appreciate you. And as always, if this show was helpful, please do feel free to share it with anyone you believe it can serve. Talk with you tomorrow on our first Cabral House Call. Take care.
I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stevencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Steven Cabral. And that's Steven with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.